Transmite en su canal de frecuencia modulada e estereofónica multiplex La Voz Radio, desde New Haven, Connecticut, al mundo.
Good afternoon. My name is Caprice Méndez, here with Juntos Podemos, Together We Can, live from New Haven on 103.5 FM. And when you hear Spanish, do not turn that dial because, as always, we are live and bilingual. Gracias a todos por estar aquí con nosotros de vuelta. Es lunes en vivo desde New Haven, en nuestro canal favorito, La Voz Hispana Radio, aquí con nuestro programa Juntos Podemos, donde celebramos co-creadores de un mundo más justo y más gentil. Mi nombre es Caprice Méndez. And so without further ado, today's special guests are none other by our 5 individuals that are ready to serve the city of New Haven as the chosen new mayor of our beloved city. And we have on Friday Thursday of last week, was a mayoral candidates forum sponsored by Room for All Coalition, comprised of various organizations addressing the issues around housing that unfortunately affect many citizens of New Haven. And today's mayoral forum, the recordings from Thursday, brought to you in order to support you making closer to an educated choice around who you would like to see be the leader, their vision carried forth in support of our collective well-being. And so with that, we are sharing some of the recordings. Unfortunately, due to our limited time, we could not share the full forum, which it was juicy. And so with that, we will hear the responses to questions posed by Room for All Coalition and the 5 candidates for running for mayor in the city of New Haven, including our current mayor, Justin Elliker. These individuals were present. Justin Elliker, Mayor Justin Elliker, Tom Goldenberg, Wendy Hamilton, Shafiq Abdus-Sabar, and Liam Brennan. So with that, we will introduce you through their own voices, getting to know our candidates, of which please put in your calendar September 12th from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our primary elections. If you are affiliated to a political party, registered voter, you can then go vote and choose among 4 of the 5 candidates today are registered as part of the Democratic Party, and Wendy Hamilton is not affiliated with any party. And then once the Democratic Party chooses their final candidates, then all the finalists for political parties, you will get to then select from the finalists from the Republican Party, the finalists from the Democratic Party, and from others who are not affiliated on November 7th, 2023. So please mark in your calendar September 12th with 4 candidates present in this forum running under the Democratic Party, and you get to choose the candidate that you feel isn't aligned with your values. And here we celebrate co-creators of a kinder and more just world, and we celebrate you. And so hopefully today's snapshots of what took place in the forum will spark an interest for you to continue researching on whom you would like to see as your elected mayoral candidate for the the next term to come here in New Haven. So mark again, September 12th is the big primary elections here in New Haven, which is really where the decision will most likely be, is who wins the Democratic primary candidacy, as history has shown here in the city of New Haven. Mil gracias a todos por estar aquí con nosotros. Vamos a presentarles los candidatos para alcalde de la ciudad de New Haven. Por favor, marquen sus calendarios el 12 de septiembre para las personas que pueden registrarse para votar. Esa es la fecha de elecciones de las primarias. Y la historia aquí de New Haven es de que muchos de los que ganan las primarias para el Partido Demócrata han sido los finalistas ganadores de las elecciones de alcalde, de la alcaldía y de otros puestos también en nuestro gobierno. Y el 7 de noviembre uno de ahí puede elegir de los finalistas de las varias partidos políticos. De ahí uno puede elegir el finalista, que es el 7 de noviembre, pero de nuevo, en las primarias del Partido Demócrata, normalmente son los que ganan las elecciones finales del municipio. Y por favor, marquen el 12 de septiembre como una fecha importante, empezando a las 6 de la mañana hasta las 8 de la noche son las votaciones. Y vamos a poder hoy compartir unos videos de un foro comunitario que ocurrió el jueves pasado, auspiciado por Suficiente Cuartos para Todos, una coalición, Room for All Coalition, que fue formado un par de años atrás apoyando a poder aumentar viviendas económicas y viendo cómo es que la ciudad de New Haven más el gobierno de Connecticut puede implementar nuevas estrategias para apoyar a que cada persona que vive en New Haven, que tenga residencia, que tenga un hogar, un lugar seguro y de bajo costo en donde vivir. Y esa presentación de hoy viene detrás de la coalición Room for All. Y vamos a tener la voz y video detrás de la voz hispana de Connecticut en Facebook, si quieren verlos también, de los 5 candidatos de alcalde que estuvieron presentes el jueves, empezando con el recién alcalde Justin Elicker y seguido por Tom Greenberg y la señora Wendy Hamilton, que no es afiliada con el Partido Demócrata, es la única de los que están presentes, y Shafiq Abdul-Sabbar y también Liam Brennan. Todos quieren ser su propio alcalde de la ciudad de New Haven. Y ya vamos a empezar con la introducción de un miembro de la coalición Room for All coalición donde hay espacio, cuartos para todos.
Of us in New Haven are renters, and according to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, fair market rent for just a 2-bedroom in New Haven is now over $1,600. Yep. But according to the same study, half of the families in New Haven would struggle to afford more than $1,300, and a third of families in New Haven could struggle even to pay $900 in rent. And that's based on metrics showing that any family paying more than a third of its income faces serious risks of negative health and financial outcomes. So that issue of rent is the first issue, and the second being of wages, which to afford that same amount, that same number I just threw out, a household in New Haven would need to make $30 an hour, which is more than half of the households in our city, far more than the minimum wage. And so because of those two issues, we wanted to hear from all of the candidates running for mayor this year, and really just hear equally from all of them. We're not looking to endorse any candidate or favor any candidate at all. We really, we're skipping over opening statements just to get straight to the issues and hear what each of them has to say about these issues. And so we want to focus on that, not on any personal attacks or matters of any of the candidates. And to help us make the event run smoothly, we have a fantastic moderator who I have the honor of introducing. This community knows her from her years at WTNH News Channel 8 and 94.3 WIBC. She's our voice, our advocate, a lifelong resident of New Haven, from New Hallville, a graduate of New Haven, Hamden Public Schools, Northeastern, Quinnipiac University, and currently adjunct professor at University of New Haven and serving at New Haven Adult Ed. She's a Emmy Award-winning writer and producer, received more than 200 community civic awards, including the key to the city of New Haven. Thank you, our moderator, Mrs. Veronica Douglas Gibson.
Pues la introducción fue de parte de un miembro de la coalición Room for All y empezó diciendo que quieren hablar con los candidatos para que quieren ser alcalde aquí en la ciudad de New Haven y obtener las opiniones de ellos sobre dos temas importantes. Uno es el ingreso de los residentes de New Haven y el otro es el costo de viviendas económicas aquí en la ciudad de New Haven. Con permiso, a nivel nacional, una coalición hizo varios estudios y anotaron de que más de la mitad de los quienes viven en New Haven están en tiempos difíciles en poder pagar viviendas, a dónde vivir, y que el costo para más de la mitad están pagando por lo menos $1,300 y es bien difícil conseguir esos fondos para mantener su hogar. Y un tercio de los residentes en New Haven también están sufriendo por falta de poder pagar sus viviendas. Y de que este estudio de la coalición a nivel nacional anotaron de que por lo menos las personas tienen que hacer $30 a la hora para poder mantener su hogar. Y quieren escuchar de los candidatos qué soluciones van a implementar ellos para disminuir las barreras que nuestros residentes de Connecticut están enfrentando en este momento hacia lo de viviendas y ingresos. Y con nosotros ese día, el jueves pasado, estuvo la señora Verónica Douglas, la locutora de la noche, que estaba facilitando las preguntas hacia todos los candidatos y enfatizaron de que este foro comunitario no era para dar apoyo a ninguno de los candidatos, pero era más una oportunidad para que la comunidad pueda conocer los varios candidatos y elegir el que sea el más correcto para lo que uno mismo tiene en mente para nuestra ciudad. Y la señora Verónica Douglas nació y creció en New Haven, en New Hallville, donde estuvimos ubicados el jueves pasado en este foro comunitario, y ha sido una escritora, productora que ha ganado varios premios, inclusive el Emmy, que es el más grande para escritores y productores, y también ha trabajado con el Canal 8 y la estación de radio WIBC. Y con eso vamos a seguir al próximo video. Gracias, William.
It's near and dear to my heart because of all the work that they do. Please welcome Ms. McKnight with the first question.
Thank you. My first question is actually 3 parts, and if you need me to repeat it, just let me know. So first of all, as a mayor, what steps would you take to build more deeply affordable housing? What would you say are the biggest barriers preventing deeply affordable housing? And how many units would you aspire to build during your term?
Okay, let me let you know that we're going to start with Mr. Shafiq Abdul-Sabar. He's going to be the first person to answer, and then I'm going to call on the next person to answer after that. We have 2 minutes starting now.
Thank you. And thank you for having us here today. I'm honored to be here. My name is Shafiq Abdul-Sabar, and that is actually a great question. Deeply affordable housing is a human right. It's a human right. And in order to get to that, we will need to put together a plan that includes federal government, the state, the city, as well as our local partners with a true commitment to build affordable housing. Now, as your mayor, what I'll pledge to do is to build 5,000 affordable units in the first 5 years. It needs to be a cemented plan with a prioritization on 3-bedroom apartments. Because all of you sitting in that audience know, if you're trying to find a 3-bedroom apartment in the city of New Haven, good luck. And that good luck is not part of your human right. Now, what are the barriers? The barrier is how we pay for it. Well, that's why we need our state, federal, local partners, housing authority to come together with a plan. And we can make that commitment. We know what happens when we bring people together, we build a coalition, and we prioritize that. As a mayor, that's what I'll do. And when that emphasis is what's driving our need to put people in homes, in apartments that they can afford, that is the most important priority. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me if I also be.
Pues la primera pregunta fue hecha por la señora Melissa McKnight y ella dice que la pregunta es de 2 partes. Una es hablando sobre la necesidad de tener viviendas económicas profundamente accesibles a la comunidad. Y el otro asunto es en cómo van a poder implementar ese plan. El señor Shafiq Abdul-Sabar fue el primero en contestar y dijo de que las viviendas económicas profundamente accesibles es un derecho humano y planea en crear una coalición con el gobierno federal, el estado de Connecticut y la ciudad de New Haven para poder construir 5,000 unidades asequibles con apartamentos de 3 dormitorios, porque todos que viven en New Haven saben de que es bien difícil encontrar de apartamentos de 3 dormitorios para una familia. Y esta coalición va a lidiar en cómo se puede pagar a que esto sea una realidad. Próximo video, por favor.
So you are next.
Thank you, Veronica. And thank you, Lisa, and Mothers and Others for Justice, and everyone who's out here tonight. You know, I think affordable housing and housing reform is one of the key issues of our time, and something that we have too long ignored and has left us in a crisis situation now. I'm Liam Brennan. I have worked on issues of affordable housing for years. I used to work at New Haven Legal Assistance, where we were part of the founding members of putting together the Room for All Coalition. But I myself, as a child, ended up in an illegal basement bedroom apartment that we couldn't talk about because it was illegal under the zoning code. And this always struck me as crazy, the way we exclude people. So, but I only have a short time, so I'm just gonna go to your question. All right, I'm gonna take it in reverse. How many units? To be honest with you, I don't have an answer on how many units I want. I saw that question, we were previewed that we're gonna be asked about this, but I wanna be truthful. I don't have a hard number. What I do have is that we need to take on the system as a whole. Like, I think we can often get lost with ideas of like a set number and a set number of saying this is affordable, but we need to update the whole system. And this goes to your second part of your question, the biggest barriers. Right now, the biggest barriers are a few things. One, we have a zoning code from the urban renewal timeframe. Urban renewal was a mistake then, it's a mistake now. But these are the rules that govern our development now. We need to completely update that and have a vision for that. Two, we have a city hall that is often outmatched by developers. We need to take on the developers and be strong. So we'll have developers come in and say, hey, we're putting in affordable units here. And they are studio apartments, one bedrooms. They do not serve the needs of our residents. And so we need to be strong with developers and have a clear vision of what we want. And that is multifamily housing for families that need space as well. I want studios and one bedrooms as well. I want those people to have places, but we need more space. And then three, running out of time here. And then three, we need to be able to evaluate these things. So be able to say when we have the right affordable amounts. I'll come back to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to take one break because it's very important that we are inclusive. We have two people here, Amy and Camille. Amy, can you please join me? And we're going to make sure that if there's anyone in the room who needs translation, we have that for you. Can you please repeat what I just said?
Sí, solo queremos saber si hay alguien en el público que necesita interpretación en español. Si podrían levantar la mano. Ok, tenemos yo y otra que vamos a interpretar, entonces por ahí voy.
So what she said is, she's going to go to the group
segundo
in the
que
back.
habló
Raise your hand.
se
Raise your hand.
llama
Yes.
Liam Brennan.
Thank you so much. And we're not forgetting about you. We're going to make sure that they are there. Amy and Camille will be here throughout the evening to make sure that you receive translation. Thank you so very much.
That's good.
Thank you. Next, we have our very own mayor, Mayor Justin Ellinger.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you all for hosting and having a conversation about one of the most challenging issues that cities around the nation are struggling with, and we are in New Haven as well. I've been mayor for about 3.5 years now. We have done so much work on this issue, and we have so much work to do. We have created, as far as the units, over 900 new and renovated affordable and deeply affordable units, and we have over 900 in the pipeline. And those aren't developers from out of town, but that's like Beulah land development that comes from Beulah Church. That is like Jerry Poole and the vision that he had in West Rivership to create more units. That's the units that we're seeing on Ashland Canal, Beacon communities, so many more units that we have brought online and continue to need to bring online. In addition, we've brought housing units through LCI's a housing program, Thompson Street, just down the street here, so that more residents can actually build equity as well. Second thing is new policies, inclusionary zoning, so new developers are required to have affordable units in their developments in the city. This is vital, and New Haven has a much more progressive inclusionary development policy. With it, we push the limits on how we're pushing down AMI to make sure that we're approaching that deeply affordable level, which is crucial for, as we know, so many residents in our city. And the third thing that is so important is advocacy. New Haven, we need to do more, but we can't do this alone. And we need to push the suburban communities, the state of Connecticut, to actually implement requirements that our suburban communities need to be more open to development. I have testified, I have participated in the lobbying efforts at the state, and we as a group need to continue pushing, because while we need to do more, we can't do this alone. This is a statewide crisis.
Thank you.
La primera persona que habló fue Shafiq Abdul Sabbar. La segunda persona que habló contestando la pregunta en cómo es que enfrentarían el problema de la limitación de viviendas económicas en New Haven y cuáles son las barreras que tienen que enfrentar para aumentar ese número, cantidad de residencias accesibles para nuestra comunidad. Y Liam Brennan habló sobre este tema y él dijo de que este tema es clave y es una de las prioridades en lo que él haría como alcalde. Y él dijo de que en este momento nuestros residentes en New Haven se encuentran en una crisis donde hay limitación de viviendas profundamente accesibles, asequible o de bajo costo. El espacio para toda la coalición Room for All Coalition, él fue uno de los fundadores. Él creó esta coalición hace muchos años atrás para ayudar a implementar soluciones sobre la falta de vivienda. Él dice, él mismo a un nivel personal entiende las situaciones que está pasando con muchas de nuestras familias e individuos aquí en la ciudad de New Haven porque él creció en un apartamento considerado ilegal en un sótano y no pudo levantar la mano y dejar a nadie saber esa realidad de su familia. Y eso excluye a muchas personas dentro de nuestra ciudad que deben de poder contar. Y él dice de que no tiene un formulario nombrando el número de cantidad de unidades que quiere hacer accesible para la comunidad, para los residentes, porque también hay que ver el sistema completo en cómo esto ha impactado falta de viviendas económicas para nuestras comunidades. Él dice de que una de las barreras que hay que enfrentar, que fue creado por el sistema, es esta legislación de renovación de la ciudad urbana, urban renewal. Necesita estas regulaciones, hay que estar al día. En este momento causa muchas barreras porque no está al día con nuestra realidad en este momento. Los quienes desarrollan viviendas en este momento no están precisamente alineados con las necesidades de los residentes. La ciudad de New Haven tiene que ser más fuerte con los desarrolladores de viviendas. Ellos tienen que no solamente crear estudios de un dormitorio, pero también ver las necesidades de familias. Y es la ciudad que tiene que ser el líder en promover eso que los quienes construyen viviendas tienen que hacer para nuestras comunidades, porque en este momento eso no existe. Liderazgo de la ciudad. De allí, la segunda persona en esta parte del video que habló fue el alcalde recién, el corriente, el alcalde Justin Elliker, que dice de que debajo de su liderazgo han trabajado fuerte y han aumentado las viviendas profundamente asequibles, 900 unidades durante su tiempo como alcalde, inclusive en la parte de Newhallville, en la calle de Townsend Avenue, han podido aumentar viviendas y han trabajado fuertemente abogando a que los suburbios, las comunidades alrededor de la ciudad de New Haven tomen responsabilidad porque ellos tienen que aumentar a poder tener viviendas económicas en sus áreas. Y también han podido reducir las barreras viendo zonificación inclusiva dentro de New Haven y cómo es que miden qué es el número de fondos ingreso que una familia puede tener para ser considerados de ingreso mediano, para de allí poder obtener asistencia del gobierno federal y del estado y ver cómo apoyar a más personas en la comunidad. Y con eso vamos a entrar al próximo video.
Thank you. So the question was about affordable housing and building new units. So one thing I do want to take the time to reframe, affordable housing used to be old housing. Okay, I think now we have this association that we have to build affordable housing, but what's happened all across the country is that when older units or older houses go up for sale, they're being snatched up by investors, not by people who want to actually live in those dwellings. I think this statement, even for single-family homes, 25% nationally are going to investors, people who do not plan to live in the property. So what I would like to do is to level the playing field, work with the state to create an incentive for owner-occupied purchasers, because right now it is hard to compete with investors. The other thing I want to say, I'm sure others will agree with me. I do believe that housing is a right, it's not a reward. I was on the bus a while ago. I met a woman who had just gotten surgery for cancer, had worked all her life, did not have housing, and could not get housing because she was thousands of people on the wait list. Our housing voucher program, it's an excellent program. I'm a proponent about it. I was just talking to someone a few minutes ago about it, but it is underfunded. And so even if you qualify for that housing assistance, you get on a wait list with 30,000 people. So I would like to advocate, when we talk about advocating to the state or federal delegation, let's make the housing voucher program an entitlement. If you qualify for it, you should get it. That's it. Last thing, the mayor mentioned inclusionary zoning. I mean, do people know that this neighborhood in New Hallville, the neighborhood in Fairhaven, and the neighborhood in the Hill, the taxes went up 40%? What good is inclusionary zoning when that happens? Thank you.
Next, we will have Ms.
La próxima persona que habló, acaban de escuchar la voz de Tom Goldenberg, que también es candidato para ser alcalde. Él dice, quisiera empezar con aclarar la situación sobre las viviendas. Estamos hablando de viviendas de bajo costo y el problema es de que hay muchos apartamentos o viviendas vacías y estamos hablando de la situación de hogares viejos, edificios viejos y muchas personas que hacen de negocio desarrollar viviendas como negociantes, no como personas que quieren vivir en esos edificios. Y es importante reconocer, hubo un estudio que dice a nivel nacional, 25% de las casas para una familia son compradas por los quienes invierten como negocio en la compra de casa. Y él quiere trabajar a mano con el Estado para incentivar que sean personas que compran, que van a vivir en esas casas, trabajando con el Estado de Connecticut. Y de ahí reconoce de que tener un hogar es un derecho, no es un privilegio y todos merecen ese derecho. Y, por ejemplo, conoció a una señora, trabajó toda su vida y nunca logró poder comprar casa y estaba sufriendo de cáncer. Y está en una lista de espera de un número como 1000. Había mucha gente antes de ella y el programa de vales de vivienda no tiene fondos suficientes aquí en New Haven y en el estado. Él quiere abogar con el estado a defender este derecho a nivel estatal para los residentes de New Haven y estamos hablando de el alcalde recién habló sobre cambiar a que haya una zonificación inclusiva, tomando en cuenta el ingreso mediano. Pero, ¿y qué vale eso? Dice Tom Goldenberg, porque para muchos los impuestos, inclusive en The Hill, en el vecindario de Hill, el vecindario de Fairhaven, aumentaron los impuestos de propiedad de casa por 40% recién. Y hay que ver eso también. Próximo video.
2 minutes is... 2 minutes is not enough time to give you details on what any of us plan to do. I answer my email. Anybody who wants details, email me. I answer my email. My solution, first of all, I want to say this is a sanctuary city with no sanctuary. There is no affordable housing. There is no shelter for the homeless. There isn't one neighborhood that hasn't been damaged or corrupted. My solution for this city is to declare Chapter 9, my first day in, municipal bankruptcy. You can Google it. The barrier to affordable housing is greed, racism, the wealth gap, and the incumbent mayor. We have housing stock. I will demand half Section 8 in all apartment buildings over 6 units, new and old. Thank you.
Y la voz que acaban de escuchar era de Wendy Hamilton, que también quiere ser la próxima alcalde de la ciudad de New Haven. Ella dice, 2 minutos no es suficiente para poder presentar nuestras soluciones, no es suficiente, y los quienes quieren saber en detalle mis ideas para nuestra ciudad y en cómo enfrentaría la barrera en poder aumentar más, para tener más viviendas accesibles aquí en la ciudad de New Haven, por favor me pueden mandar un correo electrónico. Yo contesto mis correos electrónicos. Y aquí esta ciudad de New Haven dicen que es una ciudad santuario sin tener en verdad un santuario en la ciudad de New Haven. No hay viviendas accesibles, no hay refugio para personas sin hogar. Lo primero que Wendy dice que haría en su primer día como alcalde de la ciudad de New Haven es declarar el capítulo 9, la quiebra municipal de New Haven. Dice que de allí el problema básico, ¿por qué no tenemos viviendas económicas aquí accesibles para nuestras familias y individuos? Es porque hay averizo de los ricos, hay racismo, hay una brecha de riqueza y y hay corrupción, incluyendo con el alcalde titular. Hay viviendas, edificios, apartamentos, que lo que haría es dedicar apartamentos para viviendas económicas. Cuando existe edificios, apartamentos, no importa a dónde esté, aquí en la ciudad de New Haven, pero de 6 unidades o más, nuevas o viejas, tienen que ver quienes desarrollan apartamentos, tienen que apoyar a que aumentar viviendas económicas aquí en la ciudad de New Haven. Gracias. Próximo video.
Of the mayor's office to support tenants fighting for quality, stable housing. Specifically, will you support tenants' unions as they seek to collectively bargain with landlord companies like Ocean Management for stable rents and decent housing conditions? And if so, how will you do so?
Can you repeat? Let's have you repeat the question on the floor.
Okay.
La persona que acaba de preguntar una pregunta de parte de la coalición Room for All les preguntó a los candidatos cómo es que, si ellos están de acuerdo de la creación de sindicatos de inquilinos que luchan para viviendas asequibles. Y si ellos apoyarían la creación de sindicatos de inquilinos, ¿cómo lo harían? Y, por ejemplo, sabiendo de que hay interés en las propiedades que son manejadas por Ocean Management, que es una cooperación que maneja propiedades aquí en New Haven. Próximo video.
The answer is yes. I will support tenants unions and I will work with tenants unions. One of the great things we have seen over the last few years is the organization of tenants to take on landlords and specifically corporate landlords around town. How to do it, there are a couple ways. First, under our current tenants union law, the tenants unions have to recertify every 6 months. That's onerous. We don't need that. We need to get rid of that. You know, that it just makes it harder for folks to create and keep tenants unions. Secondly, for tenants unions to actually do the job that they want to do on behalf of their members and the residents, we need to have good inspections of the properties. So you can make a complaint, but if no one ever inspects the properties, you're never going to get anything done. And years ago, Room for All came together and put forward, when Room for All put forward the inclusionary zoning petition, they also put forward a demand that the city put online and list the complaints against landlords when they come up and which ones are going to be inspected and when. We need to do that. We need to make that transparent so that, one, it shames the landlords who are occurring, and two, you know when you're going to get your inspection done. Third, we need a philosophy C change in LCI. They need to know they are out there to do inspections and hold these landlords accountable. Right now, we think we're supposed to hold the hands with some of these corporate landlords that are buying up all the properties around town. That's not the case. We need to make sure that those landlords are serving our residents and they're doing it well. And LCI needs to change philosophy on that and have more inspectors to do their jobs. We have 12 inspectors right now. This year, when we proposed the budget, we proposed 34 new positions in City Hall. 0 in housing inspections, y'all. 0, okay? Housing inspection and housing safety is public safety. This is our health and well-being, and we need to take it into account when we're thinking about public safety spending, that is part of public safety spending, and that's how I'll support tenants unions.
Tomando esa misma pregunta, si apoyaría a los sindicatos y cómo. Él dice de que claramente que si los sindicatos de inquilinos han visto el impacto positivo que han podido obtener ganancias en fortalecer el acceso a viviendas económicas y seguras detrás de los sindicatos de inquilinos, inclusive en la área del centro de New Haven. Y las corporaciones de propiedades necesitan enfrentarse al otro lado con los sindicatos de inquilinos. Una de las cosas que él haría para facilitar la creación, mantenimiento de sindicatos de inquilinos es aumentar el tiempo en certificación de sindicatos. En este momento, cada 6 meses uno tiene que recertificar el sindicato y eso es una barrera que hace imposible mantener un sindicato de inquilinos. Quiere aumentar el tiempo para poder en ese proceso de certificación. Disminuir a que lo tienen que hacer cada 6 meses. De ahí, la segunda propuesta que él haría es aumentar las inspecciones de propiedades. Hay una gran lista de quejas en la ciudad de New Haven sobre ciertos propietarios y hay una gran lista de espera para una inspección de parte de LCI, Livable Cities, que es parte del gobierno de la ciudad de New Haven, y ellos son los que son contratados como empleados de la ciudad de New Haven a hacer esas inspecciones y poder ser responsable a los dueños de las propiedades. Pero en este momento no hay suficientes inspectores, solo 12 para toda la ciudad, con una gran lista de espera para inspecciones. Y la propuesta de la ciudad recién, detrás de el alcalde recién, pidió para 34 nuevos empleados en la ciudad de New Haven y ni uno de ellos era para aumentar empleados del departamento LCI. Y él reconoce de que poder inspectar, mantener los propietarios responsables para la calidad de los apartamentos y los hogares es directamente conectado con la seguridad y bienestar de nuestra comunidad. Y eso sería una gran prioridad para él y no se ha notado con el presupuesto financiero de la ciudad que propuso el recién alcalde Justin Alliker. Próxima, por favor.
Yes, I will support tenants unions, and yes, I have supported tenants unions, and we've gone on this journey together. I'm looking at Luke. They protested outside of City Hall very early on in my administration. I went out and listened. We sat down together and crafted an ordinance that we advocated for and worked with the Board of Alders to pass to strengthen and basically create the ability for tenants to form a union and present in front of Fair Rent Commission. And since then, we've seen 2 tenants unions be created in the city. And what's more important is that this has laid the groundwork for many, many more tenants unions to help advocate and work together as a team. Second area is Fair Rent Commission. Under the leadership of Wildelis Bermudez, who I brought in, who's hit the ground running, Fair Rent Commission has dramatically increased the number of complaints that they process. Last year it was around 60. This year it's already over 166. That is remarkable, and that's because they're doing tons and tons of outreach in the community to let people know about this asset. And to give you an idea of the impact that it's having, the complaints that come in, on average, landlords are raising rent by 26%. After the Fair Rent Commission goes through and makes sure that they are held accountable, the average rent that comes out of the Fair Rent Commission is 2.5%. LCI, yes, we have to do more work, but we are doing a ton of work. Ocean management is in court every other day. Thank goodness I and others lobbied the state to increase the fines to $2,000 an instance instead of $250, and therefore we are about to submit to the Board of Alders a change in the fines so that we as a city can charge $2,000 instead of $250 every violation. And you can guarantee that once that's passed, and I know the Alders will support it, I'm confident in that we will be holding landlords accountable more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Goldberg, 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. So just to follow up from my last statement about the taxes, again, Fairhaven, New Hallville, The Hill, 40% increase. I was shocked to see this, and especially shocked to see that more affluent neighborhoods like Westville or East Rock only went up 7%. I believe, Justin, you live in one of those neighborhoods, if I'm not mistaken. So this does affect renters. I want to say a couple words about renters. Tax increases, 40% tax does push up the rent. It forces people out of their homes. Two things I'd like to say. One, code enforcement. I have been approached by so many people that have had bad experiences with code enforcement in the city that their complaints have either been ignored, delayed, or not followed up on. So we need to do a better job of doing that, number one. Number two, I would like to work with the state legislature to have enabling legislation so that if a property owner does not make a substantial improvement to that property, they should not be jacking up the rent. And so what I mean by that is, anything that is more than inflation, change in utilities, change in property taxes, there should be a threshold at which they should not increase the rent. It has to be fair to both renters and property owners. As a mayor, I will want to be investing in communities. I want to make sure that renters don't have to pay a price for that. And so that's one thing that I'm also committed to working with the state legislation on. And apologies, I do have to leave, so thank you so much.
Ms. Veronica, I defer to you, but I would like an opportunity. That was a much more direct attack to respond, if that's okay with you. So we went through a revaluation. That is a technical process, and so saying one neighborhood got hit harder than others, that is entirely out of our hands, first of all. But second of all, these things cost money, and we've been in a financial crisis. And if you're sitting in your seat, ask yourself, how would you pay for things, sir? Where were you when so many members of our community were calling on Yale University to do more? And because we did that together, Yale University increased its contribution to the city from $13 to $23 million. Where were you when many of us called on the state and testified at the state to get pilot money increased by over 100%? Where were the people on this stage when we as a community were fighting for more money to come into our community? That's what I think we need to ask ourselves instead of taking pot shots about taxes.
I would like a chance, 30 seconds to respond to that. Just one sentence.
Yeah, you have to do it. First of all, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to move on.
I'm just saying he made a statement directed at me, and I would like 30 seconds to just respond
But
before.
we have to give everyone an opportunity to respond to that, because he asked the question, where were all of them?
And I believe that was directed at me, so I'd like a chance to respond.
I have to give everybody.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you for stopping in. Ms. Hamilton, you are next.
Okay, like I said, 2 minutes is not enough. Ocean, Pike, Mandy are pretty nasty words around here. Now, I plan to drop your taxes and raise their taxes exponentially. My Section 8 plan will also work with lowering these crazy rents and sale prices. LCI needs major expansion to demand and enforce half Section 8 in these rental buildings all over town. And I plan to do some inspecting myself. Right now, redlining occurs with these new buildings that you see cropping up. You need to give them all of your financial information, and they don't take checks.
Pues escuchamos recién la voz de 3 de los candidatos para alcalde en el 12 de septiembre y escuchamos de que el alcalde Ellicott apoyaría a fortalecer la capacidad de inquilinos para crear sindicatos. Él ya ha hecho eso, pasó legislación a que sea posible, ha aumentado con el empleado Wildalis Bermúdez en la Comisión de Renta Justa de las denuncias de 50 a nivel de la ciudad a 166, dejando saber a la comunidad que tiene derechos y también con esos derechos, cuando los dueños de propiedades dicen queremos aumentar por 26% el pago mensual para vivienda, han podido con la Comisión de Renta Justa disminuir en esos casos a 2.5 nomás te aumenta detrás de la Comisión de Renta Justa. Y Tom Goldenberg también habló sobre ese tema y dijo, podemos hablar de todo eso, pero los impuestos aumentaron en Newhallville, Fairhaven y The Hill por 40% para los dueños de propiedad y mientras solamente 7% en East Rock. Y si me doy cuenta, el alcalde en este momento, Justin Ellicott, vive en East Rock. Y el alcalde dijo, no es justo, fue un proceso técnico en cómo es que aumentamos los impuestos en ciertas áreas de New Haven y yo no tenía ningún control sobre ese tema. Y de allí Tom dijo que se tenía que ir y quería contestar a la respuesta de Justin Ellicott y de ahí siguió la conversación con Wendy diciendo de que Ocean, Mandy y Pike, corporaciones que manejan propiedades aquí, son malas palabras en New Haven y aumentaría los impuestos de ellos mismos mientras bajando los impuestos de los residentes de New Haven. Y con eso se nos cortó el tiempo. Por favor, hagan las invitaciones para que sigan investigando las ideas, las propuestas de cada una de estos candidatos. Y ya hemos escuchado, por ejemplo, uno de los candidatos dijo, ¿qué pasaría si llega un bus aquí en New Haven? Y ese candidato dijo, un bus de inmigrantes de otro estado, indocumentados, no tenemos suficientes recursos y menos para ellos. Deben de investigar y saber quién dijo qué, porque sí va a ser un gran impacto para nuestra ciudad en los próximos años. Y con eso, mil gracias por escuchar. Pueden repasar el video si desean y investigar sobre sus candidatos. El 12 de septiembre para los quienes pueden registrarse para votar. Hagan su voto contar el 12 de septiembre. And thank you all for listening. Our time is up. Remember, September 12th is our primary elections, and I hope today's snapshots just got you a little curious to want to dive in deeper and closer to who you would like to see as our next mayor-elect in our beautiful city of New Haven. And I'll see you next time. Hasta luego. Y mil gracias, William.